Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with fabulous concert programs number 137. And it's the last in our survey of the completed symphonies by Swedish composer Alan Pettersson. And what a journey this has been. The object has been to present these symphonies in the context of normal symphony concerts that people might actually want to attend once in a while, even though I know absolutely that no one's ever going to do this in real life and that you'll probably never hear these programs. It doesn't matter. You can hear them at home in the comfort and convenience of your own listening quarters. And trust me, I have tried them all out and they all work. They all work really well, actually. I was kind of very pleased that this worked because when I started this series, doing a Pettersson cycle was like not high on my list of things I thought I'd attempt. But I was listening to all the symphonies. It's all, I keep coming back to it. We need to keep on listening. We always have to keep listening. We have so many preconceptions about what's going to work and what isn't going to work and what's right and what's wrong and what things sound like. And until you actually physically take the time to digest the music and listen to it, none of that means anything. And the Pettersson symphonies are extraordinarily rich, beautiful, varied, interesting, important works. They deserve to be heard, and they can be heard, and that's the point. So anyway, we're at the last one. Oh my, yes, the very last one. It's the 16th Symphony, and it's a concertante symphony. It's for saxophone and orchestra. Solo sax, believe it or not. It's only about 26 minutes long. You know, Pettersson has this reputation for being so wild and crazy and miserable and depressing and angry and loony that he didn't care about things like, the practicalities of performance. Well, that's not true. His music is quite difficult. Yes, it's difficult to play. It requires a tremendous amount of concentration and sometimes, in a couple of the symphonies, endurance on the part of the orchestra. His violin parts are particularly atrocious. But that's not the point. It really isn't. The fact is, he does not write for orchestras of extraordinary or ridiculous size. He doesn't make demands that are totally unreasonable. And this is a case in point. This particular work, the 16th Symphony, is only about 26 minutes long in a single movement, as most of his symphonies are. That makes it possibly, I think, his shortest symphony, the shortest of them all, because it has a solo saxophone. And I mean, the guy's got lips and they're going to fall off if you don't give him a break. This makes it rather long for a saxophone concerto, but perfect concerto length. It fits marvelously where the concerto would be in a standard symphony concert. Now, the actual ending of this concerto, because Pettersson is, notorious for being miserable, is the most beautiful, sweet, charming, soft major chord that you've ever heard in your life. Yes, there's a struggle getting there. There always is with Pettersson. And there are moments where the soloist is like overwhelmed by the jumble of orchestral incidents going on behind him or her. But on the whole, it's a pretty amazingly listenable and playable piece that really, how many saxophone concertos are there? It's not a concerto, it's a symphony, but you know what I mean. Big works for solo saxophone. Not that many that are this good and that really exploit the instrument the way that Pettersson does. It's really a good piece. So we're going to do it. But I decided that because this is a concertante symphony, that is a symphony with a featured solo instrument, I was going to design a program around the concept about pieces that have, solo instruments that you almost never hear because these shorter works for solo and things don't normally get played. And they deserve to. They really deserve to. But here we have them. So let's see what we've got. We begin with César Franck, his symphonic poem, Les Djinns, the exotic Arabian jinn things, the nasty, evil spirit sort of things. This is a symphonic poem, and it's for piano and orchestra. And no one ever plays it, ever. It gets recorded with César Franck symphonic poem discs, but you never hear it, and it's not even that long. It's like 9-10 minutes. It's guaranteed never to be performed because you need to have a very good piano soloist to do it. When Franck wrote this stuff in the 19th century, symphony programs were very different from what they are now. And there were lots of wonderful short works written for instruments of all kinds, violins, pianos, especially by violinists and pianists, to be performed at orchestral concerts, because the feature at most orchestral concerts was not the big symphony. It was a vocal soloist singing a bunch of popular arias or something like that. So you had an orchestra and you had a soloist, and you usually had an accompanist of some kind, because sometimes the orchestra would accompany the soloist, sometimes the piano would. And composers wrote lots of short, wonderful works for piano and orchestra and for violin and for flute and for all kinds of things, concertinos and Concertstücke, as they said in Germany, and all kinds of nifty things like that. Well, this symphonic poem is one of those. And so it makes an ideal concert opener. And then after that, we do the Pettersson Symphony No. 16 for saxophone and orchestra, and then there's the intermission, and everyone's very happy. And they had come back for two really cool concertante works, another one for piano, because I want to give the pianist who plays the Franck something else to do, something flashier, something, that will get the audience going, but it can't be a big concerto, because we've just done that. We've just done the concerto. So Finzi, Gerald Finzi, his grand Fantasia and Toccata for piano and orchestra. This is I think it's about 14 or 15 minutes long, something like that. It's marvelous. It's a wonderful juggernaut of a romantic piece, romantic in style for piano and orchestra, and no one ever plays it. It's been recorded. I've never seen it announced. I've never seen it even thought of. Maybe some of you in the UK have. I don't know. But it makes a wonderful next piece to do after Les Djinns in the first half, to give the pianist a little more fun and frolic. And the pianist doesn't have to be a big name. It can be, the orchestra's normal, pianist who always plays, those unrewarding orchestral piano parts in symphonies and whatnot, and really deserves an opportunity to shine once in a while, because quite often they're marvelous players. I mean, Earl Wild was an orchestral pianist in Pittsburgh when he was starting out his career. I mean, it's a great experience if you're going to be a solo pianist at some point in your life, but, you got to give them a break. Let them be heard. And then finally, at the very end, let's bring the house down with the Jongen Symphony Concertante for organ and orchestra. What fun. What a great piece. It usually only gets trotted out for organ inaugurals, like when San Francisco inaugurated the Ruffati organ. I was there then, and Telarc was on hand, and they recorded the Jongen Symphony Concertante because it was the only way it was ever going to get played. Dorian made a subsequent recording of it, actually, that was better. But, and I think it was in Dallas, but you just don't get to hear it. It's a wonderful work. Oh, my goodness, so much fun and glorious and enterprising, and it brings the house down in concert. So here's a program that consists of 4 interesting works for solo and orchestra. Really interesting works for solo and orchestra, all of them very rarely heard. And you can put these together this way, and you've got one whiz bang of a program. Listen to it at home. I take my word for it. It's just a great evening of interesting and enjoyable listening. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.